You know, one thing that really bothered me about the Black Lives Matter movement last year was certain people's reaction to it. Now, for example, there were several white allies who did the bare minimum, absolute bare minimum, posting, doing posts on Instagram, the absolute bare minimum, right? And then less than a month later, they was back to saying about, oh, I feel fatigued, I've done my bit now, I want to move on, this is too much, why don't black people get over it? And I'm thinking to myself, what was even the point you hashtagging Black Lives Matter and doing those black squares and whatnot, and then you have the audacity to switch to this whole I'm over it now. I mean, imagine how black people feel having to wake up in the morning and deal with this shit every single day of their lives, having to deal with racism. We do not have the luxury of waking up and saying, you know what, oh, I just want to delete all these posts and forget about it. We don't have that luxury, because every single day we go out, we are treated a certain way, discriminated against because of the color of our skin. And yet you have people who are doing the bare minimum that they should be doing, but you can do more to support if you truly want to support, crying because now they feel fatigued. You barely did jack shit, okay? You did the bare minimum of what you're supposed to be doing. And now you're crying because you're tired. Imagine how I feel every single morning, right? Having to deal with racism online, offline, microaggressions, etc., right? Do you think I have the luxury to say, you know what, I don't want to be black anymore. I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Do you think I have the luxury to do that? Do you think I have that luxury? Do you think I can just take my skin off and then that's it? I will no longer be black. I will no longer deal with racism. But it's okay for you, yeah? It's okay for you to just delete your little posts and act like everything doesn't matter anymore because your privilege allows you to. Black people don't have that privilege. We can try and deny it all we want. We can try and sit there and say things like, oh, me being black, it doesn't affect opportunities that I get. Now, well done to you for getting all these opportunities and well done for succeeding in life. But do you think the majority of black people have that? We are talking about the minority of people make it in life, yeah? You look at the black celebrities, those are the minority of black people. They're dealing with so many different socioeconomic factors that they're not able to achieve. And then they're more likely to come up against racism, but in a different way. And this is why I'm saying class and racism goes hand in hand. You can't get away with it. And they don't have that luxury of escaping from what life has dealt them just because they happen to be black. They don't have that. But you want to sit up on the internet talking about you're tired, or you as a black person want to sit there and say that, oh, being a black person doesn't mean I'm oppressed. The simple fact you're using that language to say you're not oppressed shows you actually are oppressed. Because white people don't want you to know that you're oppressed. They don't want you to know that it's racism that exists. So when you sit there and say shit like I'm not oppressed, me being black hasn't affected me in any manner, you are nothing more than a white person's lackey. That's what you are. You're a white person's lackey. and the audacity to say it over and over and over again, that you're not oppressed. What about all the other black people who are oppressed? What about them? Do you not give a shit about them, or do you only care about yourself? Come on, tell me. I want to know. Because the foolishness that keeps coming out of your mouth every single time, it's so tiresome. It really is tiresome. And I'm tired of having to have these conversations over and over again about foolish black people and idiotic white people. The black people I can understand, because oppression, it changes your mindset. Let's keep it real. It changes your mindset. What you think is not oppression actually is oppression. What you think is not racism actually is racism. And that is the thing. Racism is not subtle, but it's subtle in the way it will change your mindset so you don't even realize what is going on. And as for you white people, if you are going to be an ally, then be an ally. Don't sit there and say, I've had enough of this shit, because what exactly are you having enough of? Coming and people letting you know about your white privilege. Are you having enough of that? Don't just jump on a bandwagon because the whole world is vexed about what's going on, is furious and hurt and heartbroken about what is going on. Don't you do that. Don't you do it. Please don't jump on a bandwagon. We do not want empty platitudes. We do not want Instagram posts that will be there for 5 minutes and then you delete them because it doesn't go with the rest of the stuff that you post. No, if you don't want to post, you don't have to post. Instead, what you can do to help us is, if you see someone post a GoFundMe link or something to do with Black Lives Matter, you can just share it into your Instagram stories. Boom, problem solved. You don't have to say a raw word about this thing. You don't have to say none of that. You can just share. Because so many black creators and so many black activists are out there posting information that you can read. And you're choosing to ignore it, and you're choosing to do a little crummy ass Instagram post, and then you delete it within 5 minutes because, oh, well done, you've done your job now. Do you want a friggin' sticker? Do you want a lollipop? You are not a child, so I won't treat you like one. You can just simply share things into your Instagram stories. We don't need none of that fakeness. We do not need none of that fake shit. We don't need it. Another issue I've had is recently, people are talking about what's going on in Israel and Palestine, and a lot of people are saying, how come the world stood still for George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and all the other black people who unfortunately died at the hands of the police, or if they didn't die, was severely injured and has lifelong physical injuries, right? And they're saying about how come the world is talking about Black Lives Matter, particularly last year, but they're not speaking about what's the situation between Israel and the Palestinians now. I don't know about you, but I feel if you want to get a point across, you don't have to mention black people. You don't have to mention black people at all, because all you're going to do is switch people off from getting your message. Your message should simply be this A situation is what's going on in Israel and Palestine. This is B, what we want you to do next, right? There should be none of this. How come people talking about George Floyd, but they're not talking about that? Listen, and some more people are talking about oh, look how everyone steps up for black people, but no one's stepping up for us. First of all, if people were truly supporting black people, if people were truly stepping up for black people, do you think racism against black people would actually still exist? Do you think it would still exist? Like, let's be honest, let's use our brains here. Yeah? Let's us use our brains here. If if people was actually truly supporting black people, racism would be gone. But no, it's still there. So I don't want to hear that foolishness. You can just post your shit about what's going on. And now, I don't want people to come for my head, but I am so fucking furious because it really irritated me. It's like a slap in the face. It really is a slap in the face to all that black people go through. And you're forgetting there's black Muslims, there's black Palestinians, there's black Arabs. So what about all of them? What about all they're going through? Have you forgotten about them because you just want to start a xenophobic war, a racist war? Why aren't black people speaking about the Palestinians and Israel and what's happening there, instead of just speaking on what's going on over there? You didn't have to mention black people at all because black people are dealing with their own shit, and black people are always the first ones to ride for everybody else. But yet we very rarely see that happening to us. It's like when you look at black people, they're always the first to advocate and be activists for other people. But you got the freaking audacity to sit there and say some foolishness like that. When black people have been talking about it, we may not have done Instagram posts on it. We may not have done Instagram posts on it, but we are sharing things, information into our Instagram stories. We're retweeting people who are speaking about it on Twitter. Right? We are not doing 5-minute little Instagram posts and then saying, oh, that's it, it's done, because it doesn't go out with the rest of the layout of my Instagram. No, we are actually uplifting and pushing forward those who need to be pushed forward. But I'm sorry if we don't spend all of our energy dwelling on negativity. Like, for God's sake, can we fucking breathe? We are trying to survive. We are trying to survive in this world, right? We're trying to survive in this world, and it's never ending. It's never ending. Nobody wants to let us breathe. Everybody always wants to sit there and say about, oh, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Can you talk about this and that? And it's never ending. And it's always, why are black people doing this and why are black people doing that? Because we deserve a fucking break. We deserve a break. My God. Like, I understand you're in pain and I understand you're hurting, and that's not on. But at the same time, black people are not nobody's mules. We are not your mules to be used. And it's funny, it's always the people who allow this about why aren't black people speaking about this are always the one who has found out to be never speaking about Black Lives Matter, never speaking about black people who die. You never speak about it. You just want to use us as your freaking lapdogs. But when it's about black people, when we are in pain, you are nowhere to be found. But yet you expect us to speak up for you when you won't do the same. Your audacity is fucking strong. Like, learn to leave people be, please. Learn to leave people be. If you don't want to speak about Black Lives Matter, then don't speak about it. But then at the same time, don't mention black people when it comes to shit you're dealing with, because you weren't speaking up for us either. But that is it. That is the end of my YouTube video. I just had to get some shit off my chest. I am sorry that I didn't introduce myself, but honestly, I just had to go straight. I just had to go delve straight into it, because I'm seeing some fuckery and I don't like it. I really don't like it. I'm tired. I'm tired of the bullshit. You need to be cussed out. Cussed out. Because I don't know why people are wasting their time. Like, don't waste your time. Don't do it. Because I will make you look like a damn fool. You understand? If you're against racism, then be against racism. Don't do it. Don't do it just because everybody else is. Do it because in your heart you know it's the right thing to do. And if it's not in your black heart, then that's it. All right, I gone.